Welcome to another Tech Tuesday. And we're presenting today CIO Essentials. And we're going to be talking about server systems that are going end of life and what that means. And so let's jump right into our topic. Share my screen here. Again, thank you for joining us today. We got a little bit of a higher production value than we had last week. Certainly getting our Tech Tuesday act together. Certainly looking forward to more Tech Tuesdays with you, and also bringing you some of our other consultants. Again, I'm Robert Ferrilli with Ferrilli. And this is a slide that I received from Microsoft. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a minute to kind of talk about all the things that are going end of life. And today, our main focus is I know I have a number of clients still running SQL Server 2008. And SQL Server 2008 support ended on July 9th. 2019, so we're already past the deadline. We do have a couple of options. You can, if you haven't already, you need to buy extended support. And we could, this could be a part of a migration strategy to the cloud. So we could take these SQL Server databases and migrate them to Azure SQL. And we'll show a little bit how to create an Azure SQL database today. Last week, we talked about Windows 2008 and 2008 R2 server. The end of support ended on January 14th, 2020. This is, again, you can get Azure 2008 servers, and Microsoft will continue to support those servers in the Azure environment, and this could be a part of a larger cloud migration strategy, or you could buy extended support. Additionally, on January 14th, Exchange Server 2010 has ended support. If you have not already migrated Exchange to Office 365, it's a must-do. I just find the Office 365 a lot easier to manage than the traditional Exchange environment. We were an early adopter of cloud email here at Ferrilli, and I have to say that I am thrilled that with Office 365, it's an incredible platform. Windows 7 on January 14th ended as well. If you have Windows 7 boxes on your campus, it's time to upgrade them and get them to Windows 2010. Same thing with Office 2010. And for those of you that are using SharePoint 2010, end of life for support of SharePoint 2010 is October 13th, 2020. So please keep these dates in mind. I know it's a lot that is ended in this past period. But it's a real opportunity to identify your cloud strategy. A lot of people are out there, they're talking about that you need to upgrade or you need to get the extended support because of hackers. And, my feeling is we face hackers every day. And granted, your threat level goes up by being out of security support, and the chances of you getting attacked by ransomware or data theft only increases with the fact of running out of support software. A lot of the major hacks that you see is because there are institutions or folks that are running software that are out of security compliance. What happens when support ends? One of the main things that I think gets folks to move is they realize that they may not pass their institutional audit. And the support has an impact on compliance. So if you're a healthcare institution and you fall under HIPAA, you need to get these servers upgraded. If you take credit card data, PCI DSS requires you to keep security patches up to date. It is critical that you get these servers upgraded. SOX also requires you to be able to receive security updates. And GDRP, if you accept students from the European Union or service folks from the European Union, you must upgrade your servers or buy the extended support. Or again, this could be a part of an overall cloud migration strategy. Okay. So similar to last week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to create an Azure SQL environment. Haven't done this in a little while, but I got faith that we could get through it. But what fun would live be unless it had a little risk? So give me a moment here to check get to the right screen here. Share my screen with you. Okay, as we talked about last week, this is the Microsoft Azure environment, and we will be doing more videos on the Azure environment. They're really doing some really incredible work with bringing the enterprise to the cloud. And so you can see that one of our recent resources was last week's Test Windows 2008 IP. But today we are going to create a Azure SQL database. And so I'm going to click create a new resource. And I am going to create a SQL database. And one of the things I will say while we're waiting is we're doing a lot with security and their endpoint security manager. And I have to say that we ran into a little bit of an issue and we needed to reach out to Microsoft for support. And I will say that I no more than 15 to 20 minutes after putting a support ticket in, we had a competent support rep on the phone and basically answered our questions quickly, concisely, an incredible level of service that, Ferrilli uses the Azure portal as well. And so I have to say kudos to Microsoft for getting that service level up for Azure. And so we're just going to call this Test SQL database. Let me just kind of come back here, make sure I'm in the right place. Okay. Yes, no, I think I want an Azure SQL Managed instance. Like I said, I haven't done this in a while. And Azure is constantly changing. So certainly don't want anything, any management that we can have Microsoft do, all the better. And I'll just test admin. My password's got to be at least 16 characters. I got to think of a good one. Look forward to the day when we figure out a better solution to passwords. Okay. We're not going to do failover because this is just a test. Oh, this must not be the database that I have. I don't think I spend an estimated cost of $15,026.76. And failed validation information missing. This is the thing going live. Previous. Yep. Time zone. Maybe I was in the right area with the SQL database to begin with. Start time. Oh, and we're still missing a field. Good, good. Oops. Let's go back. The wrong one. I'll have to spend some time with our database administrator. Give me a bit of a lesson on this. This resource group, its name, test SQL, create new server. US East, since we're on the East Coast. Okay. So networking. Just going to do a public endpoint for now. And we're going to just protect it by IP at the moment. But it gives you a sense of the enterprise thinking that goes into creating this database. Yeah, these are the databases that I tend to work with, the cheapy ones. And so we go to create. And again, this is just fascinating to me. We don't have to set up no Windows Server box. It's just a database pretty much in a container. And we don't have to order any hardware. We could add more power to it if we, if the database gets larger. We could easily connect it to Power BI. We do a ton of reporting out of Power BI. We actually use an Azure SQL Database as our own data warehouse. In the meantime, while this is cooking on this computer, because I don't have SQL Management Studio, and download SQL Management Studio. And run it while we're waiting for this to deploy. But again, this is just fascinating. It's really changing IT, and it's changing IT quickly. Amazon was the first one to market with this level of service, but Microsoft is they're putting their A game into it. And the fact that they understand the enterprise, I think, really adds a lot of value to Azure Web Services. But both very good platforms. All right, we're still waiting for our server to deploy. But I mean, it does take a minute, but compared to when we had to resource a SQL database in the past, the time that it used to take is almost insane compared to what it takes today. All right, our servers are deployed. And our SMS is ready to I haven't used this version of SQL Management Studio either, so it's always, again, it's a little bit more fun to play with .NET, and especially when we're working in a test environment such as this. it's always fun to explore and try new things to get a feel of what's out there and what's available. If you do have any questions, you could certainly reach out to me. My email is ferrilli@ferrilli.com. Be happy to answer any questions, or if you have thoughts for future Tech Tuesdays, please feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to explore those ideas with you. Okay, our deployment is complete. Let's go to the resources. We're waiting for SQL Management Studio to continue to deploy. And so we have an overview of the server. We could set up a firewall. We have the activity log. If you have a whole host of servers, you could tag them in a certain way. So whether they be by department, by software, that's a nice way to tag them. Again, these platforms connect directly to Power BI and Power Apps and Flow. Maybe that might be a good future Tech Tuesday, is to go over Power Apps, Flow, and Power BI. We can do replication. We can configure. We can look at the connection strings on how to connect to our database. We will need that to connect. Once our SQL Management Studio is loaded. We have advanced data security. We can look at performance. We get alerts. So very robust tools, very robust monitoring. Obviously, if we were doing this in a production environment, we'd spend a little bit more time over fine-tuning the configuration, fine-tuning security, and things of that nature. But my goal is to make sure that folks are not intimidated by the Azure environment. And hopefully, I'll be able to get into SQL Management Studio without rebooting. But if I do, we're going to have to maybe pick this up on the next Tech Tuesday. I apologize for that. It should have preloaded this and been a little bit more prepared. So hopefully this loads up. And so we go back to our Azure environment and we grab our server name, which is this test server. And we add that here. And we're going to use SQL Server authentication because I don't have an Active Directory set up here. And so if you remember, we created the test SQL admin. Type that in right. So we could do to rectify that. Oh, you know what it is? I didn't do test SQL admin, it's test admin. Ah. And now we've connected to our SQL server. And we have a test SQL database. And we could actually create new databases now that we're in SQL Management Studio. So SQL Management Studio works very similar to SQL Manager Studio when you connect it to an on-prem SQL system. Depending on the operations that you want to do something, and depending on how much speed you have connected to your what level of service that you're getting from Microsoft. It may operate faster or operate slower. In this case, we are operating on the clearly slower version, because I think it was an estimated of $15 a month versus the Azure Managed SQL, which was next to $1,500 a month. So depending on what you're doing, you have to you really need to manage performance versus spend. But again, easy way to create a database, it's very easy to create an Azure database. If you still are running MS SQL 2008 servers, you could certainly speak with one of our database administrators about migrating to the Azure cloud, or to upgrade your on-prem servers to the newer versions of MS SQL. And if for any reason that you have to stay on MS SQL 2008, it's very important that you purchase extended support so you may maintain compliance and to keep out bad actors. I thank you very much for joining me for another Tech Tuesday. Thank you, and have a great day.